love it.
All right, welcome to Let Freedom Ring on a special Tuesday night edition. My guest, a good friend of mine, Dan Fuentes. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah, yeah, man. All right, well, we're gonna get right into it.
Let's do it.
Dan, where are you from and where'd you grow up?
Well, I was born in Pomona, California, in December 20, 1987. And then when I was one, I moved over here. I moved to Manchester, and then raised in Nashua. Um, that's pretty much it. Just been in New Hampshire ever since. Not
All right,
born, but definitely raised.
all right, awesome, awesome. Now, what's one thing that everybody should know about you?
Um, that I've been thinking about that all day, and like, how would I answer that? And I guess is that like I'm just an overall good guy, Like I'm a good parent, and hopefully I'm a pretty good husband and a pretty good friend. But that's pretty much it. Mostly that, and I'm a diehard Titans fan.
That is true. That is true. And you're almost catching Bill and Mary Ellen Bullier. I think you only need one more kid to go, right?
It seems like it, man. Hopefully this is it. This might be it.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome. And here's the question, sticking with the theme of the show, and we've had so many different opinions on this.
Yep.
And I love this question because it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What does it mean to you to be an American?
Well, so I wore this shirt today. I don't know if you can read it.
I have to lift it just a little bit more.
Maybe lift up a little bit.
Okay, yep, I like that.
Made by immigrants. For those who can't read it, but it definitely the land of this is the land of immigrants, and both my parents, they came here looking for, searching for better opportunity than what they had in their home countries. So this is definitely it's a topic that I take to heart, and it's definitely something that it's like hard to explain, but it's definitely something I think about every time when I think of America. I think of what this country was built upon, and it was built by immigrants, and it was built by those who definitely didn't, originate from here, and we're all just trying to make it, and that's just, the American dream. So that I look that's, to me, being American is seeing people's roots and seeing people how they get by, and you know that's pretty much it.
I totally agree with that, 100%. I mean, I think we're all from immigrants. I
Yeah,
mean, no one was there's besides the Native Americans, there's no originals.
yeah,
you know,
for sure.
you
No
know,
one, no one's in illegal and stolen land.
and I have to admit though that there are a lot of people that believe that
Yeah,
they're but that's not what this country's based on.
no, you know, if you look at how this country was based on, is people leaving, United Kingdom to come over here because they're being persecuted, and they came here looking for a better life, and that's what they found, and that's what the principles of this country is, man. And come here to find a better life, and hopefully you make it.
Yeah, no, I like that answer. I haven't heard that answer yet, and I appreciate that, and I really like that a lot.
Right on.
Um, All right, we're gonna go into current event. How has your life changed during COVID-19? We've been in this pandemic now for what feels like 5 years. you
I
know,
was gonna say the same thing. I feel like I've aged substantially. I learned a lot throughout this whole thing. I have a daughter who, once this whole thing started, they started remote learning. I feel like I aged 10 years and I gained like 30 pounds. And, surprisingly, I don't have gray hair. So it was crazy. But, we had a baby during the pandemic. That was a wild thing. I like wasn't unemployed, but I was collecting unemployment, and that was like a scary thing. And then unfortunately, my mom passed away, so that's
yeah.
definitely been another. It's been 2020 is not the greatest year, but we're making it. We're making it.
No, it has not been whatsoever.
Yeah,
Um, what's it like being a teacher and a dad at this point?
it's weird removing your parent hat and then putting on your teaching hat, because that's not
Yeah,
my background, is being a teacher,
yeah,
and you learn to be a parent all day, every day. But man, if if throughout this whole pandemic, if teachers don't deserve a raise, we're failing them. Uh, Man, I'm a terrible teacher. They have the patience of saints, and I had to deal with one who was learning, and then the other one who was just like running around trying to get into all the learning. They got to deal with 30 kids. You know, hats off to them. They definitely deserve a whole lot more.
Now, in the school district that you're in, is your daughter going to go back, or what's going to happen, or is it an option, or it's
So
it's different all
they
across the state?
yeah, so they pretty much had like the option of um like going to school and doing in person and having remote, like couple
Yeah,
days on and couple days off, and then one day they were gonna choose like to clean the whole schools. Um, but I think we just decided to have her do remote learning full time, which is it's not ideal, but it's the safest thing
yeah,
for her, and it's the safest thing, yes, for all these kids. It's definitely not fun. It's
yeah.
definitely a challenge.
And you're a family of five now, so I mean, it doesn't just affect one person; it affects the whole family. So
Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
totally understand that. What a crazy time! When we were
for
growing
sure.
up, we probably never imagined we'd be seeing something like this.
No,
Yeah,
it's crazy. I just saw like a meme the other day, and it's just like it's wild that we're in 2020 and we have to defend science and decency, and it's so crazy that the times of Koran, and it's wild.
nope, I totally understand that.
Yeah,
All right. Also following, so we had a 5-year-old boy shot and killed in a neighborhood while riding his bike in Wilson, North Carolina.
yeah,
The boy, Cannon Henot, the alleged shooter is Darius Sessions, a neighbor who was friendly with the family. Um, what was your take on that? But there was also some stuff going on Facebook that we I want to address. I want to address this because I could not imagine having a 5-year-old boy killed.
yeah.
No matter who you are. Um, what's your take? Like, what the
It
heck? And
it
then the
was
father
definitely
said they
tough
were
to read.
friends.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was definitely tough to read, and obviously we're gonna find out more what's going on as like the trial goes on and whatnot. But that was definitely tough to find out. And I'm glad that they found who did it. I'm glad that he's being held accountable for what happened. And I hope, as a parent, you definitely feel for these folks who have to live their worst nightmare. Um,
yeah.
it's not That's the last thing you want to do. And yeah, like I just feel for them, and I hope they get justice is done for them, and I hope the system doesn't fail them. And that's yeah, that was definitely a tough one, and especially that when I found out that was you were gonna ask that was yeah, that was rough.
And any there's multiple pieces to that because
Yeah,
because if you looked at Facebook, all of a sudden a lot of people that were on the right were like, well, where are the protests in his name
yeah,
and say his name? And I never want, no one wants to see a child hurt,
no, for sure.
but that doesn't discredit the Black Lives Matter movement,
Yeah,
or because they were like, why is it? CNN did cover it, and I'm not
yeah,
I'm not defending CNN. I'm not covering I'm not covering for any news network. It was covered.
yeah,
Why do you think people were gravitating to that story My big thing is you can't compare one death to another death, or murder or
See,
whatever.
that's such a like a tricky like situation. That's comparing the two. Obviously, they found that the individual that did this, and he's in jail now. But I mean, Breonna Taylor's killers are still out there,
Yeah.
having a good time. Uh, this individual who killed the little boy, they found him. He's in jail right now. He's being prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And the fact that, obviously this is just one example, but this kid does matter. And
Yeah.
we do care about this kid, and we want justice for him, so his parents can have some sort of, I guess, closure is the word I'm looking for. But that those who support the Black Lives Matter, we do care about this kid. This kid,
Yeah.
as horrible as it was, we want justice for him, and they got this person to be held accountable for his actions.
Well,
And
and do you think there's a difference now? There's a lot of crime that happens in our country. I
yeah, for
mean,
sure.
if you watch Investigation Discovery, you know that.
My wife loves that
Uh,
channel. Loves
but
it.
is there a and this is what my takeaway from people making such for going there, because obviously this is a tragedy. This is terrible.
Yeah,
I if if it was my nephew or my niece, I'd be coming for your ass. Um,
100%.
but is there but the comparisons didn't make sense to me, because there's a difference between someone with a badge killing someone than your next door neighbor committing a homicide. I think there is a difference. I think there is a difference.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, it all comes back to accountability, and I feel like that's what a majority of the Black Lives Matter movement is. Having like a civilian be held accountable to what a cop, you know, having them held accountable for each. This kid was brutally murdered, and they got his killer, and we see a lot of deaths of innocent black men, and their killers who wear a badge aren't held accountable, and that's something that that's what they're fighting for. That's what we're fighting for. That's what we're protesting about. Is they need to be held accountable. This guy gets killed for selling loose cigarettes,
Yeah.
and then we have a kid like, what's his name, Dylan Roof or whatever, kills 9 people in a church. They arrest him, but he says he's hungry, so they take him to Burger King. So
And in
it's
cuffs too. He wasn't killed.
yeah, in cuffs. He wasn't
Yeah.
killed, and that's the crazy. That's the reality of things that these guys live with on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
it's just like that's what we're fighting for, and you shouldn't. It shouldn't be like a death sentence to be, African American. It shouldn't be a death sentence to be, Latin American. We should all have a fair shot of getting through things.
No, I agree with that. And I think when you start comparing, people that are not police officers killing other people in general,
Yeah.
you're comparing apples to oranges. It's
Yeah.
not the same thing. That's not what the movement is. A murder is a murder, no matter what it is. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But when you're in a position of power, like a police officer, you're talking about a very different thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff I've seen on Facebook, I go, you're not comparing the same thing. And
It's not.
I had a big problem with that, but God forbid, stop using this little boy's name to justify your agenda.
Yeah. I wish,
I don't like that.
as a person, you wish you never knew this person's name. You wish that
Yeah.
you never knew that there's a reason why we're saying this kid's name. And yeah, we get it. But there's other kids. The Trayvon Martins of the world, the Tamir Rices of the world. It's just all these names I wish I never knew. I really wish from the bottom of my heart, I wish I never knew these names. I wish it was just if I'm going to some place and I just see this kid, oh, he's just some kid, and
Yep.
go about my business. But like that, literally, that could be like my kid. It could be someone else's kid. It's just you truly wish you never knew these kids' names, in the most respectful way, of course. But like that's just unfortunately that's a hardcore reality.
No, I totally get that, and it's all heartbreaking. And I'm
Yeah,
not gonna. I don't like to compare one person's death to another,
yeah,
but I will say this: there is difference when you are killed with someone in a position of authority
yeah,
than some random person on the streets. There is a difference there,
yeah,
and I hope a lot of people pushing that agenda will stop and grieve for this boy
yeah,
and grief for many people that have been killed. It's horrible, no matter how you cut it. And but let's compare things that are comparable.
yeah. Sure,
Um, that's going to bring us into politics, and we are in a wild time
I love it.
in politics now.
It's definitely been entertaining these past 3.5 years, to say the least. And now we have a fighting chance here.
Now, to break down our first thing, and I want to talk about this, the Republican-led Senate did find that there was Russian interference in the 2016 election. I don't think that's really shocking to anybody.
No, no.
I think a lot of things was whether you could prove Trump had anything to do with it or not. Um,
It's just do they care?
does it matter at this
Do they?
point?
Yeah. Do they care? We know what happened. We know the obstruction of justice that's been happening throughout this whole Mueller report. If you want to be vindicated, you'd let it out. Yeah, you can cross out some names, but you can let it out this information. Now, do the Republicans care?
I
Do
don't think
his
so.
do his supporters care about what's going on, or are they just kind of just burying their head in the sand? It's like, you know what, there we'll have a scandal tomorrow. There'll be a new one tomorrow. It's just there's so many things. I mean, him paying off Stormy Daniels, it would collapse a completely different campaign.
Yeah.
But this is we threw that away months ago, years ago. We just threw that away. It's just what's going to be the next scandal for this White House. And
I, I I think you're right. A lot of his behavior doesn't matter to a lot of people, but at the same time, we all knew there was interference. Now
yeah,
it really comes down to whether you think he was part of it or not. But the fact of the matter is, Russia, and I'll say this super slow for a lot of people, wanted Trump to win.
yeah.
Why is that? Make your own assumption. I'll make mine. But they wanted him to win that election.
So I mean, I heard his Michael Cohen, his former personal attorney, is writing a new book, and apparently what's in this book is that he talks about the P tape. If you haven't heard about that,
I have heard about that. I'd hope that the president of the United States is not true.
well, he
Yeah.
he was in the private sector before this whole thing, and I mean, I'm sure he doesn't want to be president. He just wants to be just golfing and just minding his own business and not anyone caring what he does, where his like money is going about. You know, he didn't want to win. He just riled up a whole bunch of people, and they're just like, yeah, he's not gonna be that bad. He tells it like it is. He shoots from the hip. I mean, I trust me, I understood the whole reason why people voted for him. I get it,
But what
but
is telling it like it is? Telling it like it is means telling it like it actually is, not how you think it is,
yeah, how he perceives the truth and the actual truth are two completely different things, completely different sides of the spectrum. Uh, but you can't say you haven't been like Oh God, what did he say now? Oh my God. Like how else is he letting down this whole country? How else is he making us the laughing stock of the world? It's just it's one thing on top of the other, one thing on top of the other.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It gets to the point where it is what it is with him.
Yeah.
When you really think, because a lot of people have argued with me about impeachment. I think the Democrats had the right to do that because impeachment really talks about whether you're abusing the power of the presidency. And
Yeah.
if you think that they are, then you have the right to go after them.
Yeah.
And because let's just make it clear, and again, a lot of people don't understand this, is when we declared our independence, we didn't want a king again.
Yeah.
So when someone is impeached, that means someone thinks that they are abusing their power.
Yeah.
And you can't go and at one point the Republicans felt that about Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's
But,
just
you lie about personal things. You having an affair with an intern is completely different from meddling an election with with a different country. Those are two completely different things. And like,
or saying you're going to withhold things from other countries too.
yeah,
It's
or yeah,
essentially what they got him on.
yeah. I mean, there was so many things, and again, from like what I said before, it's just that was just one scandal. They just like, you know what, there'll be another one later on, and
Yeah.
it's just it's been a complete utter mess on how he's handled the presidency, and it's been just complete embarrassment, and I can't wait to get rid of him. I really can't. I,
Can't
I'm
just
I'm trying not to be like extremely political, but God, this is awful. I can't take it anymore. You
well,
know,
no, and it is your opinion. This is why we have these segments though.
yeah.
And so
Um, I mean, if you look back on what Reagan said is just if the Republicans in power, you should always back the Republican. You should always back, and there should be no infighting. And the Republican Party is staying true to their word. Is there's not going to be any infighting. The only person to dissent is Mitt Romney on
well,
a number of cases, but for the most part, every Republican is backing the president. There's no dissent. He pretty much gets away with what he wants, and every one of them just let it happen. And if he loses in November, they're gonna say, "Yeah, we knew he was crazy. We all knew this," but the
that is
damage is
true.
the damage has been done.
Yeah,
You know,
Our
he,
our politics are a mess.
yeah,
Obviously, you're right because they will if he loses, they will turn on him.
yeah, and the thing is, like, if the Senate passed impeachment, Mike Pence would be president right now.
Actually, I think that Pence would help them from years to come because I think
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of damage here. Um, but it's funny that you say no one in the Republican Party is willing to go against him because that's going to kind of bring us into our next part of politics, which is the Democratic and Republican conventions. Now, obviously, he's not in a position of power anymore. He ran for president. He was someone that I personally really liked a lot. John Kasich
yeah. I remember you
spoke at the
telling me about
Demo-
them.
he spoke at the Democratic convention last night.
Yeah,
But to just make things just a little bit crazier, let's just get into all the people here, and then I want to get your take on this. Not only that, but the Dems also put up a daughter of a Trump supporter
yep,
whose dad died from COVID-19.
yeah. That was
So
really sad. That was really
and
hard.
then so how the Republicans respond? So they're going to have the kid in D.C. Remember the kid in D.C. that was filmed arguing with the Native American man?
Oh, that little smug kid. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been spun on both sides. I forget the kid's name.
Who cares?
He's going to speak at the Republican National Convention.
Oh, what a
Not
shocker.
not only him, but the couple in St. Louis that pointed guns at the Black Lives Matter protesters. They will also be speaking at the Republican National Convention. Again, what the hell is going on? Why are any outside of Kasich, okay? Why the hell are any of these people speaking at a national convention?
You know, there's so many like I really don't know how to answer this because the whole Republican Party is right now. It's just like in shambles. It's not the party of old. It's not let's just get let's just be like fiscally responsible. Let's oppose this and let's oppose. It's we hate you if you're not like us, and anytime you disagree with us, you're the problem, and but we're the solution, and that's not how politics should be. It's finding a common ground. Best way I've heard politics as being is like if you're taking a city bus, when they're not going to drop you off in front of your house, but they're going to drop you off to a destination close to it. So that's how politics should be viewed. Is
It's a good way of
what's
putting
going
it. Very
what's the
good way of putting it.
what's the best way of getting you to the end goal? Let's find compromise in X, Y, and Z. Let's find a compromise and let's find a way to get through this. Okay, so you don't like this one thing. All right, so how can we compromise? But I like this one thing. But how can we compromise to like see somewhere in the middle? You're not going to get this, but you're going to get this instead. You might not get A, B, C, but you'll definitely get D, E, F. Let's find a way to compromise, and that's just there's no compromise in the Republican Party right now. It's our way or there's no way, and that's just not how that's not how it should work.
Do you think though that like, all right, so I understand the woman who, and I got to be critical of both.
Yeah.
So the woman whose dad, who was a Trump supporter, she spoke at the Democratic one. I go, okay. I'm not totally like, I get it. People died. He's the president. Sure. But I can't applaud the Democrats on that. I just can't. But then you go to the Republicans, and it's the guy with the kid with the stare down, who sued CNN.
Yeah.
So he's going to speak at the Republican National
Snowflake
Convention.
of the century. You said mean things about me.
But then you have the people that pointed guns at at the Black Lives Matter protesters. And there's a lot to that story. You just can't point guns at people, but they're going to speak as well. I say to myself, I go, what the hell? Where are we? Where are we right now? This is how we're dividing the parties? Like, what? I don't know.
It's just maybe you got to rally the troops of those who just if we all hate one thing, we can all back up whoever hates that one thing. So we hate all these. They're going to call the Black Lives Matter movement terrorists, but they're literally fighting for what's backed by them by the Constitution. They're using their right to peacefully protest. They're using their right to fight to get what's right. And but the way the Republican Party sees them is they see them as domestic terrorists. And
a threat. Do you believe there's outliers? Because I do, that there's outliers of the Black Lives Matter movement that do things that neither one of me and you would not agree with.
Yeah,
but sure. That does not kill the whole movement.
No, I mean, it's been weird seeing this whole movement happen. It's not weird, but like it's just been really intriguing seeing this whole movement happen since we saw George Floyd being publicly executed, and it was just posted online, and the thing it just blew up. It's finally out there, it's finally there for people to see, like they, blacks are getting completely mistreated by the police, and it's just two completely different things, and what the protests are about, we're allowed to do because it's backed by the First Amendment. They're not political, they're not terrorists, they're not animals, they're trying to fight for accountability.
Yep.
But the Republican Party sees them as they're the enemy. We don't want to work with them. That's it.
Now, do you think there's some people, everyday Americans that will vote for Trump that also support the Black Lives Matter movement?
That's a.
I'm not saying
That's a
I don't
that's a
know.
tough
I don't know.
that's a tough question.
I don't know what the
Um,
number would be, but is
I'm
it
I'm
possible?
I'm not. I don't think it would be extremely high, but I
Yeah.
think they're gonna like him in some other aspects. Like they think he's tough on crime, or he's doing well with the economy minus what's going on with all of COVID. There's a number of different factors of why they would um, want to vote for him. I
Yep.
mean, my father voted for him. I got a couple other family members who voted for him. They My dad supported him on the fact that he was quote unquote against abortion. That's why my dad voted for him, and that could be another reason why someone who may support the Black Lives Matter movement, or that's how they would vote for him. At least that's one of the aspects I would think.
Yeah. No. I think this could take. I just find it very curious looking at the list of people we're talking at the conventions, how we're trying to split the parties, because I don't think that everybody that votes one way or another thinks all that way or another way, which I think is a complicated thing in our
They're gonna
country.
find one aspect to support him. Like there's gonna be some Republicans will vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some Democrats who vote for Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah.
You're always gonna find someone who's just like, I just don't 100% agree with the party. I'm gonna vote this way. That's just you're probably gonna see a lot of the Bernie Sanders supporters vote something else,
Or not even show up.
or just not even.
Unfortunately.
That's pretty much how he lost both times. It's just they didn't
Yeah.
show up. There's like, yeah, he has such a great talking points, this, that, and whatever, but they didn't show up.
Yeah.
Cool, you can raise a lot of money. Oh, you can have a lot of people show up, but showing up to a rally is completely different than showing up to the polls.
I agree with that. I do
So
really agree with that.
it'll definitely be interesting this coming November.
All right, so we're gonna get some tough questions here.
Let's do it.
Was Harris a good pick for Joe Biden?
I loved it. I
Okay.
absolutely loved it. She's they don't 100% agree with things.
Oh,
However,
and we saw that.
we saw that at the debate. The first one, she pressed him about busing almost immediately because we all knew Joe was the front runner. We all knew that, and he raised no money. He was not great fundraising, but she pressed him, and I think that's what she's going to do as vice president. She's going to press him every single day to be the best president he can be. She's not going to let him get away with tiptoeing around an issue. She's like, you're going to tackle this head on, and I think she's going to be the reason why he's going to be a better president. I personally wanted Elizabeth Warren to be his pick, but I understand why she wasn't his pick. But Kamala Harris she was like right next to her. I always had a thought that she would be it. And I think with everything with George Floyd and the whole Black Lives Matter, she had to be it.
Now, does her being a pretty ruthless prosecutor,
Mm-hmm.
could that hurt her? Because she's locked up a lot of Black Americans for nonviolent crimes.
See, I think that's also going to be super tough.
And I think Trump's going to run with it.
Trump's going to run with it, but also Trump donated to her campaign.
He did, yes.
Attorney General, and we got receipts, so that's going to pop up there. So obviously he liked something about her when he donated to her, and and she can and they can say, well, your daughter even, supported my campaign too. So you can't, it's definitely going to be tough for him to say anything negative about her, because she will continue to say, you supported my campaign. And
Which
that
is
was
true. But he also supported Hillary, and that didn't hurt him.
did.
Well, it did. It didn't hurt. I have a lot of issues with the Electoral College. I have fears about it this time around too.
If the Electoral College didn't exist, Al Gore would have been president.
It's true. A lot of people, Hillary Clinton would have been president. Um, no, I like that. It is going to be tricky. I think you're right, though. I think she is great. I think she has some skeletons, but I think they all do.
Yeah.
Overall, though,
There's not gonna be one perfect person who's his VP choice. They're all gonna have their flaws, and I'm sure her record as attorney general will come up. But she was there when they passed same-sex marriage. She was the one that gave the green light for same-sex marriage to happen in California. She was right there in the forefront. She was right there with, she fought against the mortgage companies. She has been there for the working middle class people. I think that's what she's going to bring when she ultimately takes over at the White House.
well, that goes into the next question: Who wins? Who wins in November?
Joe Biden. That's basically it. I think there's, if 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 the president wins, he will not win in the Senate. I think a lot of Senate seats will be taken over. If he wins, he'll be pretty much just a sitting duck.
He won't win the popular vote. I can't see him ever winning the popular vote. I just, I've heard a lot of Trump people telling me like it's going to be a landslide. I go, well, what's your definition of a landslide?
Yeah,
Because he's never going to win the popular. It's never going to happen.
he's always gonna complain about there's gonna be voter fraud over, but like you still lost by 3 million votes.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to know what these people mean by a landslide. What is a landslide to you?
The landslide
It's an overwhelming election, right?
It's the Electoral College.
Yeah.
It's the Electoral College that makes no sense. That made sense back in the early 1900s, or
the 1800s.
It just doesn't make sense anymore.
And that's
what's
something
the point?
I would like to talk about more on the show, because I do disagree with it. I do disagree with the Electoral College. I have for a long time, and a lot of people specify their opinions. But one American, if we're talking about, you want to elect people to the House, you want to elect people to the Senate. I don't agree necessarily with how we elect senators either. We do the House on population. We do senators based on 2, and then we do the president on the Electoral College. So someone please break this down to me, how any of this makes any sense.
I wish I was well versed in the Electoral College, but or how they pick the senators and whatnot. But I don't get how California only needs 2 senators and Idaho needs 2 senators when the population gap is completely far away. There should be more senators in California than there would be in Idaho or even New Hampshire.
It totally doesn't make sense.
No, not at all.
I really think too, if you really want to break it down, then every American, since the president represents all of us, right?
Yeah.
The president it doesn't matter if I'm here or in Iowa or in California or in Texas, the president represents all of us. So what I don't understand is how each of our votes don't equal the same. And I'm sure there's a conservative out there that will argue that. And I'm sure they'll have their points.
The conservatives love the Electoral College because it's elected 2 presidents that shouldn't be there.
Well, in our lifetime, that's not the only time it's worked for them.
Yeah.
So that is what it is. That I probably have a whole episode on that. Maybe at some point we will. But
I would definitely watch it because I'm still trying to figure out that whole thing, that whole process.
But
It's
the
confusing.
problem is anybody will justify their agenda.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you can scroll through your Facebook and just see how easily people just go, "This is my point. Here's why." But you can almost justify anything.
Yeah.
If it means that much to you, it's kind of ridiculous. But let's go into sports. Daniel Cormier of the UFC has retired.
Yep.
What'd you think of his career? He was a great UFC fighter.
I don't really watch much UFC because I don't want to spend $75 to watch a fight. But like I do enjoy like watching some of the preliminary fights on ESPN every once in a while. It's exciting. It's really fun to watch. It's just two people just beating the hell out of each other for 20 minutes or whatever. So they're I can see I see the entertainment in that. But he comes from a wrestling background, so I'm sure that's why you're a huge fan of his.
And he coaches high school wrestling.
And
now. He actually does that.
So now he can do that full time. But last time I saw, he had like 12 losses or something like that.
I don't know his total record. He's had some.
He's up there with the losses, but UFC's that's a tricky sport, and it's hard to stay at the top the whole time. And pretty much since he's gotten there, he's been at the top. I mean, all the best to him. I wish you fought Brock Lesnar.
That's what I was gonna say. I wish he fought Brock Lesnar.
Just two bad dudes going at each other. Who wouldn't want to see that?
I say Godspeed to Daniel Cormier.
Yeah,
like, he was great. CFL canceled their season. Any thoughts on that? I mean, did you think that was coming anyways, or
Canada knows what they're doing?
Yeah,
they shut everything down. They didn't even allow the Blue Jays to play there.
No, they did not.
They know what they're doing. They want to limit the outbreak, and if you honestly, like I think if The Rock does it right, I think the XFL is going to come back, and it's going to come back big.
Hell yeah, I'm all about that.
You're probably going to see a lot of college players just not even go to college and just go to the XFL, and like, here, you guys figure this out. I wish the pandemic didn't happen for the XFL because that was a blast. That was so much fun to watch.
I mean, me, Bob, and Mike, and Tim Hogan, and Derek, and we all went to a game.
Yeah,
it was a blast, and then all of a sudden got shut down.
Their rules were amazing. I mean, how they had their extra points that was awesome. You can go like 1, 2, or 3 points depending how far away you are. Why can't they do that in the regular NFL? There's that documentary from the XFL. They pretty much created like instant replay, the challenge rule.
And they definitely had different camera angles that the NFL never had. So
the NFL learned so much from the XFL, and vice versa. Man, I really wish this pandemic didn't happen because that was really exciting football, and also that beer tower was hilarious.
Yeah, and the beer snake.
Yeah,
I was at that game. Who wins the NBA Finals? Do you have a prediction for that?
It's weird to say, but I don't know. I think the Lakers might pull this one out.
Yeah.
It just feels like we were robbed of an opportunity to see LeBron just stay in Cleveland. Just why'd you leave? You're the son of Cleveland. You're the son of Ohio. Stay. Get as many titles as you can. I think it was just him and the owner didn't get along, so he's like, I'm just gonna go everywhere and anywhere. Not really be challenged. I don't know. But I don't want to say it, but I think the Lakers will take it.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I think LeBron bided his time, and he helped that team build, and now he's in a position where he could maybe win it. So, um, now you are a Titans fan,
Yep,
an Angels fan,
I am.
um, but I think a Celtics fan for basketball. Or no?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Just the team I just sort of gravitated to in
Yeah.
basketball, and it's just there really no specific reason why I am. Just yeah, it would be the Celtics. I mean,
And
I want.
then and then
Go ahead.
Bruins though too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, what are your favorite sport moments?
Number one right at the top is Music City Miracle. Sorry, Bills fans, but the Music City Miracle was right up there. I watched it live. It was absolutely insane, and I'll never forget that. Never forget that
That
game.
was crazy. That was
That was fun. And
should have played Doug Flutie, Bills.
yes, I think about that all the time. If they didn't pay Rob Johnson what they paid him, Doug Flutie would have definitely won that game. It would not have been a Music City Miracle because Doug Flutie's America's hero. And yeah, but it didn't go that way. So thanks, Rob Johnson, wherever you are. But yeah, that's the top one. That's for me. That's my top one. Um, I I really can't think of anything else, but that's the guy. Anytime like I need something to pump me up, Music City Miracle. I
Now,
still get
was the
chills to it today.
Bruins victory, Celtics victory a big one of yours too?
I think it was more exciting because I was out at the bars when they
Yeah.
won, so that there was more excitement there, and that was fun. Um, I wish I was in Nashville when that happened for them, but I was in Manchester at the time, so I went to the bar and then enjoyed it over there. Yeah, those are pretty exciting moments. Probably USA going into the quarterfinals in the World Cup men's.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty exciting. Um, man,
And
I had so many I was thinking about today, but I just
I
completely
have to
forgot.
say though, we together saw Tom Brady's last game in
We
New England,
did, we
and your
did.
Titans won that game. So
Logan Ryan's pick six was pretty exciting.
yeah,
Um, Not everyone was a huge fan of that play in New England, but let
we
me tell
met
you,
we met a lot of Southern people after the game because you were
we
all
did.
about it. You
Oh my
know.
God, we stick together. We were definitely the silent, the very loud minority there. It was
Well, I
that was
met
a
one
good,
guy that night where I was like, dude, I love the '90s Braves. He goes, I love
right.
you
Yeah,
know.
that was so much fun because if I recall correctly, not TBS would always put the games on,
Yeah, every
and
night.
that was the only games we could watch.
That was it.
Because
Nesson wasn't really much of a thing. The Red
yeah,
Sox maybe were on once a week,
yeah, I would
depending.
say I feel like I never saw the Red Sox on TV way back when. In like the man, that was a long time ago. Now you can't escape any New England team here.
But that's one thing we can always say. Where Tom Brady's last game as a Patriot.
That was wild. I don't know for whatever reason when we went there, no one seemed overly confident that they were going to win that game. I feel like a lot of people were just like, "Man, this is weird. We're the 3 seed.
Yeah,
That's just no one." They always had the bye week. They always had time to prepare for whoever team they're going to be playing. This one was just a little different. I don't know. I'm sure Bill Belichick had a good game plan. I mean, they definitely kept it close all game long, but they really didn't have an answer for Derrick Henry.
no,
Tom
I think
Brady
that
couldn't get anything
guy's
off.
Derrick Henry's the future of the league. I mean, he's going to be the. I mean, from what I've seen, um,
I think even though he's the rushing king in the NFL, I still feel like he gets disrespected by like all everyone who no one thinks the Titans are gonna go back to the playoffs. Uh, we're like the underrated team that no one likes but no one hates. We just, I think we're gonna make it back to the playoffs. I think we're gonna do well with Ryan Tannehill. He's gonna be more comfortable with the offense. Corey Davis is gonna be huge. Then we have AJ Brown, who's gonna be like our number one. Jonnu Smith, pretty good tight end. I think we got it. I think we have a good year this year. Hopefully we break the 9-7 record, but I think we're gonna do well this year.
Well, that's going to bring us into the fan questions because we have a question from Maura McCabe.
Hello?
Diehard, can you hear me?
Yep.
Diehard Eagles fan. And Maura,
Fly Eagles fly.
oh, she loves him, and we love razzing her about it. What do you think of Mike Vrabel's comments related to the Seahawks rookie who tried to sneak a female in the team hotel? That's the first question. What did you think of that?
First of all, Mike Vrabel he's a different breed of human. His kids are just as crazy as he is. So I'm really not surprised with what he said about she's like built like a linebacker, or maybe she was one. I don't know. He kind of just says what's on his mind, and he's just out with it. He's not paid to talk to the media. He's just paid to coach, and he's our guy. And
so far he's been a great coach.
Yeah, 9-7 past 2 years.
And that's better than Belichick was in his first couple of years. So yeah. Vrabel could be there for years to come.
I hope so. I hope so.
Also, will Derrick Henry still have more playoff TD passes than Carson Wentz after this season? Obviously, Moore is throwing shade to her own quarterback, Carson Wentz. There,
I feel bad for Carson Wentz. Too injury prone, but I honestly, he shouldn't have thrown it to Corey Davis. Marcus Mariota was open for miles on the other side of the end zone. He could have just like pitched it right to him. They would have scored easily. Honestly, that was just dumb luck. I think he saw the opportunity. He went for it. He could have scored it either way because no one was taking him down in Baltimore. And yeah, that was just a good play. But honestly, probably I think the Eagles go back to the playoffs. So I think Carson Wentz will end up having more TD passes.
I think you're right. I think they're both destined for good things coming up.
So hopefully he just stays injury free.
Well, that's the hardest part, right?
Yeah. Especially if you're a mobile quarterback.
My friend Jesse DeLeo wants to know, big Buffalo Bills fan. Been to Buffalo with him a couple times.
Yeah.
Was the Music City Miracle a forward pass?
No, it was a lateral.
I think you're right.
It was a lateral. Get your eyes checked if you think differently.
He also wants to know about
both. And thank you, Phil Luckett, for making that call. Because if you look at footage of him at the challenge board, the whole city of Nashville was gonna kill him if he said it was a forward pass. So I mean, obviously he was intimidated. Yeah, he was intimidated by making that call. But he made the right call. And if you think otherwise, get your eyes checked.
And start Doug Flutie, Jesse, which we've already talked about. He wants to know about my experience at the Bills and Titans game. Obviously, anytime I've been to a Bills game, it's been a lot of fun. And we had fun that day too.
Yeah, for sure.
We may have a third guest coming on now. Final thing.
Turn this way. Hold on.
Yeah.
She's a little nervous coming on.
I'm not nervous. I don't want to be on camera.
All right, go ahead.
And final thing for my buddy Tank, he wants to know for a second I thought you were Jerry Lawler, but you probably don't remember who he is. Dan, I think he's very off by that. We know exactly who Jerry Lawler is.
We know who Jerry Lawler is. Jerry Lawler is he's the king of puppies. You know, he introduced us all to just being just the creepy old guy at a wrestling match. and saying what he used to say. Yeah, I know who Jerry King Lawler is. I remember wrestlers used to have to kiss his feet after every win.
Well, him and Bret Hart had those feuds. Obviously, Tank, we know who Jerry Lawler is.
Yes.
The King of Memphis.
Yeah.
Gonna bring us into pop culture. Ellen has apologized again. Have you heard anything about the Ellen show? A lot of their behind the scenes stuff not going so good.
You know, I'm a sucker for that show. If I mean I don't watch it often, but I have seen a number of episodes. You would think she's a nice person, but then you hear this whole behind the scenes stuff. Either she has to get control of her staff, or she has to go.
It's tough because I haven't heard like Ellen's done a lot of bad stuff, but like the behind the scenes of the show just sounds absolutely toxic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's rough because I've always respected and liked Ellen. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that episode of her show when she came out. I remember that was a huge thing, and I was just like, oh, we might as well watch that. That's like big pop culture stuff or whatever. I think she was all right for doing that. I think that was her platform. She's like, I might as well do it while I have this show. And you would think she always taught like accepting people. You know, she got flack for sitting with George W. Bush.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're just friends with just liberals, you're not going to get enough. That's not that exciting. You know, I have friends who are Republican. My father's a Republican. My wife used to consider herself a Republican.
Yeah. And she changed the game because she came out in '97, which it wasn't like it is today.
Yeah.
So, big ups to what, Ellen. I'm not gonna put the total blame on her.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some stuff going on there.
Yeah. She just needs to get control of her staff and just have them like, we need to figure this out. I mean, I heard some people say she's not the nicest lady outside of that place either. And the internet's a weird place.
You never know what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
Any take on the new Space Jam?
Say that again?
Any take on the new Space Jam? They released how LeBron's gonna look in that movie.
Gosh, I think it was stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be bad. But then again, this first Space Jam wasn't the greatest either. But that was like the biggest thing. The soundtrack was amazing though.
Let's remake a movie that wasn't that good to start with.
Yeah.
What are your top 5 albums, real quick?
Weezer's Blue Album.
Okay.
Radiohead OK Computer.
Oh wow. That's
Things Fall Apart by The Roots. Jesus. Sublime. Their first debut album. I can't remember the name of it. I think it was just Sublime.
The self-title, like the first studio album. Yep.
I believe that was one of them, and then one more. Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf.
Nice. All right, and you have a top 5 movies.
They're always it's like inconsistent. It's either between. So the first two have always remained the same. Rocky 1 and 2, and then love the movie Magnolia. See that it's always hard because like I said, it always changes. But the top 2 have never changed, and 3 is like a toss up, and 4 and 5 I just never can think of the 4 and 5.
That's all right. All right. Well, we're gonna go into my favorite segment of the show, which is blank versus blank. I'm gonna give you 2 things, 2 people, 2 anything, and you gotta pick one and defend why. First one: Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders?
Hillary Clinton.
I know. I knew that you preferred that.
Yeah. Um, she was just the most qualified of the two. She was the most qualified at the end of it too. She obviously, being first lady, that's one thing, but then she became senator, and then she became secretary of state. She was primed and ready to go. It was her turn. She was more qualified than her husband, and
Yeah,
she was always a better leader. It's just unfortunately for her, she wasn't trusted as Donald Trump.
well, 3 million more people disagree with that, but
That's true, but look where we are now.
next question: who is more responsible for the Titans' success back in the early 2000s? Eddie George or Steve McNair?
I, I mean, they definitely played off each other. Um, but I always thought that defense was an underrated defense too. But I will have to go with. I mean, unfortunately, you have to go with. Not unfortunately, but you have to go with the quarterback, and you have to go with Steve McNair, because he's the leader of the team. But if it wasn't for Eddie George, who can take the ball and run 20 times a game, 20 plus a game, but yeah, Eddie. Unfortunately for Eddie, I'm gonna have to say Steve McNair.
All right, fair answer. Sticking on that topic, though, we have a team that you live in the area of that have now separated from each other.
Yep.
Who's more responsible for the Patriots' success, Bill Belichick or Tom Brady?
You don't really remember how the Patriots were before Tom Brady. But when Bill Belichick first started, they were like still a garbage team.
Well, they had to get rid of Pete Carroll. Before
Yeah.
that,
So I mean, it's gonna
went
be
on to be a
interesting.
great coach.
It's definitely gonna be interesting to see um, when the season starts. But Brady has way too many weapons.
Yeah.
However, when he had weapons in New England, they went to the Super Bowl, but they lost. You know, man, I feel like that's like the hardest question.
It is, and I've had to answer before, and honestly, I said, well, Brady is to me the greatest quarterback, but he wasn't shopping for the groceries, as Bill Parcells would say. You got to put someone around the quarterback to ultimately win.
However, he didn't have anyone when he won what the first three. Who was his top receiver then?
The first year, I don't know. I'd have to really look at it. I'd have to go back and look at it.
And then, but like
David
Dion
Patton was big
Dion
name there.
Dion Branch, he did well with the Patriots, and then he went to Seattle, and he became just like another
Another guy.
flop of a receiver. I I mean, gun to my head, I'm gonna have to say Brady.
All right. Okay.
It's a tough call because Bill Belichick really doesn't have anything to do with the offense. He's a defensive
True,
guy.
but he's also the GM of that team.
It, yeah, it's
It's
definitely.
it's a hard question. I know.
I think that's one of the hardest questions to answer. I feel like this season is gonna be very telling. I think Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay is gonna be like Michael Jordan going to the Wizards.
If Michael Jordan was 10 years older than Michael Jordan was when he first retired.
Yeah,
I
mean,
it's
uh,
wild.
it's definitely not. That's a hard question. But I think, he doesn't have a big of an arm as he used to.
Yeah.
He doesn't have. I don't know. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird seeing him in Tampa Bay.
I'm excited for it.
Surprised he didn't go to Tennessee, but
I did think he might have gone there. I'm excited for the season. Hopefully it happens because I want to see. This is probably the most interesting season I've seen. We'll see in many, many years. So,
Yeah.
Pro football or pro wrestling?
Jeez. Pro football.
All right. No, I it's hard to argue that. I can't wait for football, but I always have wrestling there.
I love wrestling, but you football is just you only get it for a short window of time.
That's
But then
true.
you have wrestling that's all year round, and you can forget about watching Monday Night Raw one week and then catch up the next week, or you can miss like a whole 3 months of Raw, then catch up on one episode of Raw. You can't really. I don't know. I don't. I could live without wrestling. It would be tough to live without football.
All right.
And
Fair answer.
and it's gonna be weird not seeing college football, because that's just like the
Well, you will have
warm up to that.
the SEC is going to play. I don't know if any other divisions will, but
That's a disaster.
you lived in both of these places, Manchester or Nashua?
I lived in Nashville at a different time than I have as a resident of Manchester. I'm probably gonna say Manchester.
Okay. All right.
It's where I met my wife, and it's where I have my kids. It's a completely different animal. I Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Manchester, bud.
All right. Big match this weekend at SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre or Randy Orton?
Probably Drew McIntyre.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
I mean, I gotta be honest. I'm sick of Randy Orton.
Okay.
He's a legend killer. He gets one legend. He RKO's them. Okay, cool. And then he kicks him in the head. Okay, cool. I think the whole out of nowhere has been completely outdone. I'm just sick of them. Sorry.
That's a fair point. I like them both. I'm the host, so I don't have to choose.
Yeah.
I am excited, very excited for this match. All right. All Elite Wrestling or World Wrestling Entertainment?
AEW.
I haven't had anybody pick WWE yet.
It's since Linda McMahon ran for Senate, it's just been completely different. It's too, and I feel bad because everyone compares it to the Attitude Era now. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say AEW.
All right. And last question in blank versus blank, and this is always the toughest question. Robert William Bollier or Michael William Bollier?
I feel I don't like this. I don't like this answer. I don't like this one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Bobby. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Well, you guys are closer friends.
But who? Everyone likes Mike.
I can't pick a difference.
Yeah.
So I mean
you
my brother.
You lived with them for however long, and you see them, talk to them every day.
Yeah.
They both have different qualities that you like more about the other, but yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Bobby on this one.
All right.
Sorry, Mike.
Good. It is what and Mark took Mike, so I guess they're at a one-on-one standoff right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, Dan, I appreciate you coming on. That was a lot of fun. We hit a lot of different topics and some serious ones. And everybody just continue to watch, continue to keep your heads up, and until next time, let freedom ring.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Dan.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
I'll talk to you.